Look at things in the world, they are all perishable. Once you understand it is perishable, don't start crying over it. It's normal. The clouds cannot stay in the sky because you like it. And more insight, all your near and dear ones, they are all souls led by karmas to come together in a certain relationship. Relationship itself has no reality. It's the most crazy ship in the world. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Jnana Murtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasya Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami Om. Adorations to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha Upashama Prakarana, section 21, and the topic is cessation of cravings. Craving is called Krishna. Krishna is allegorically like thirst. And the more you drink salty water, thirst increases more and more. There are two types of illusions behind your thirst. You can go after Mrigatrishna, mirage, with all the garage of your wealth and strength. Mirage destroys everything. Without going into too many details, the topic, as you have heard before, was two brothers, Punya and Pavana. They lost their parents. Punya was enlightened, so he gave wise counsel and guidance to Pavana. And Pavana also became enlightened in course of time. And I have explained, Pavana is that stage of your sadhana where you do virtuous karmas, karmas that purify your heart. That's called Pavana, means purification. But as impurities become purified, two choices open for you: to have a prosperous life in this world of time and space, or attain liberation. The first one is called Preya, things that are very pleasant to the masses. Shreya, that's what's the ultimate goal of life, to attain God realization. Both will become possible if you are doing good karmas, karmas that go on purifying. So punya represented that stage. Rather, pavana represented that stage. And punya is that stage where virtue has reached a high level. Whole focus is on developing more and more divine virtues, which culminates in moksha, liberation. So these two stages are brothers. To give a very crude illustration, if you are cleaning up your house, first stage, remove all the crude dirt. Second stage, start opening up windows and bring sunshine. Virtuous karma, good karmas begin to remove dust. But still windows have not opened. But if virtuous karmas are drawing you to satsanga and sadhana, now that develops a totally different type of movement. Sunlight begins to come. Your self-effort blends with grace. You become a yogi, not a bhogi, not a rogi. You don't do sadhana, you are a rogi. Rogi means English, is not English rogue term. Very similar. Rogi means you are living unhealthy life. Unhealthy, not ordinary ill health, we call bhava vyadhi, disease of the world process. And the whole world is only a hospital for you. By good karmas, you have prosperity and you begin to enjoy bhoga, pleasure. But that's not the goal. That doesn't put an end to your cravings. And finally, bhakti and mukti. Bhakti is devotion to God, and it culminates in liberation, mukti. Also, punya related stories of many embodiments told how Pavana had developed that stage through many lives, having experienced so many lives. And then he turned to himself, also said he has gone through many lives. And just to give you an idea, when Buddha started teaching, he presented the same view, that he attained Buddhahood as a result of many lives of spiritual enrichment, Jataka tales. In different lives, he learned different lessons, all culminated in the Buddha stage. And what's more important to understand, it applies to everyone. What you are today is a result of many lives behind it. But any good quality and good aspiration has developed, you have not earned it in this life. You have gained it through many lives. Simple message behind it, that always develop the idea of persistent effort for attaining enlightenment. And don't go in despair Many lives of your effort have already been your supportive. And go one step further. The reality in you is always the self. You are essentially Brahman. Every individual, giving very crude illustration, every soul is like a sun in jars of water. Reflected suns are countless. But the reality behind every reflected sun is the same sun. So no matter how a reflected sun may be in most miserable condition, it has every right to raise the finger, Aham Brahma. I am the sun. So that's the message given by scriptures to all souls. Sri Vasistha continued, O Rama, when Pavana listened to the teachings of Punya, he became free from grief. Grief word, Sanskrit word is shok. And cure for grief is shauch. Shauch is purity. And purity is of two types. Bahiranga and Antaranga. Bahiranga, external. External begins with your very body, the food you eat, etc. And your external conduct. Internal, keeping the mind free of anger, hate, greed. Interesting episode with Kabira. Once some great scholars were coming to Kabira to have a big discussion about his belief. Kabira wanted to avoid it. So what he did, he found a pig and tied it in front of his door. And these people came, looked at the pig, and said, "Oh, Kabira, what an impure person you are. We don't have to even talk to you." And Kabira from inside shouted, "I have put my pig outside." But you are carrying your pigs inside you. Try to figure out the moral behind. By meditating upon the nature of the self, he gradually attained enlightenment. Then both Punya and Pavana lived as enlightened sages until the end of their days. They were unaffected by pleasure and pain, gain and loss, and the varying conditions presented by their prarabdha karma. With the termination of their prarabdha, they became extinct in their physical bodies. That means they departed. Even as a lamp becomes extinct with the exhaustion of the oil. That's just an allegorical way of saying they died. But the death is not for the soul. Those who are enlightened, even while living with their bodies, they are not identified with their bodies. But as long as there is identity with the body, your mind goes on suffering from, called abhinivesh klesha, fear of death. Not only just fear, but lots of sorrows and anxieties. O Rama, since every soul has encountered numerous brothers, sisters, relatives, tell me, why should anybody grieve for any particular relationship? First point to understand that grief is not normal and it should not stay with your soul. It's a disease. So in brief, you should do something about your grief. And moha. Moha is deluded love and attachment. That supports existence of grief. Gita opens up. Krishna begins his teachings by statement, Ashotya nanu ashochastvam. O Arjuna, you are grieving over that which is not worth grieving for. This point has to enter the mind, that you are grieving over something that's delusional. The most important point in spiritual movement and for bringing real happiness in life, how to deal with your grief. So don't give opportunity for grief to stay and invading your mind. If you don't have any job to do and just sit bored and agitated, the grief is the only thing that allows your mind to be entertained. So, try to understand, unwittingly, human mind likes to be holding on to things that are negative. Even when you watch the news, what attracts you, something negative is happening. Now you sit back, see where all this is leading to. And not only sit back, you chit-chat with people. Give your opinion. You end up doing nothing concrete, nothing practical. And the mind that becomes addicted to that type of entertainment, negative entertainment, enjoys having grief. This point has to be handled well. Firstly, don't let your mind stay inactive. Inactive means some purposeful activity must go on in your life. Don't give all the room for just sit back and allow your mind to do its thing. Now then, as mind gains its inner strength, then we begin to understand that what seemed like grief as something very negative, as sharp thorns, they were not real. Ashotya nanu ashochastvam. Say, for example, if someone has departed, lots of grief goes on. And many grieve with the constantly thinking, where will the soul be? In other words, soul's movement and its progress is none of your business. All your imagination that soul has done good karma, so soul will be in heaven and God will be giving him lots of pudding and things of that nature. All that relates to your thinking, nothing to do with the reality. Or if you think negatively, the soul has done negative karma, will be suffering. All this type of thinking. And also from a very practical point of view, grieving over a departed soul. First point, normal period of grieving is perfectly normal. If you don't grieve at all, then you are stone-hearted. But if you simply go on grieving, then you are in another trouble. As you begin to come to positive level, your mind turns towards the understanding that the soul is in the hands of God. And soul in essentially is divine. Every soul, your own soul, essentially is God Himself, restricted by your mind, just like the sun reflecting in a jar of water. The reflected sun has very little power, though it shines like the sun. But at the same time, it is not just non-existent or useless. Its essential reality is the sun. So no matter how miserable one may feel led by the mind, the reality within you is I am Brahman. The mind will lead the soul to all situations, positive and negative. Maneva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo. Mind causes bondage as well as release. So, soul led by the mind faces all types, all the negativity caused by bondage, all the positivity as bondage is being removed. And ultimately, the reality behind the soul is absolutely free. Aham Brahmasmi, Brahman alone. I am, that am I. This form of understanding must end. And things that are so normal to be, look at things in the world, they are all perishable. Once you understand it is perishable, don't start crying over it. It's normal. The clouds cannot stay in the sky because you like it. And more insight, all your near and dear ones, they are all souls led by karmas to come together in a certain relationship. Relationship itself has no reality. It's the most crazy ship in the world. Now, don't misunderstand the message behind it. In all relationship, bring God. You are related to God. You serve people, love your family members, you are loving God. In two ways, allowing your heart to have love, and you are allowing that love to inspire others. So, as love begins to shine in your relationship, you are moving in Godward movement for yourself and for others. That's the purpose of relationship. Good relationship must lead you to God. Good loses one. Oh. Just as by adding fuel to fire, it will grow with leaping tongues. In the same way, by constantly thinking of objects, by entertaining desires for them, and by fondly coveting them, the fire of craving is led to a furious blaze. To give more insight into what we call craving, Trishna is a Sanskrit word, and it relates to three types of desires put together. Desire in the form of longing. Everyone longs for three types of prosperity. One is called putreshana, having your children and grandchildren, whole your generation coming up. And it gives you a sense of you will be constantly remembered and loved. Next is vitteshana, to have a lot of money. Because for the masses, money can bring anything. That's a joke. Money can't bring you. But the idea of money gives a tremendous joy to the masses. Third one is location. Money or no money. You want to go viral. You want to be praised. Whether you deserve it or not, doesn't matter. You want to be recognized. Popularity. This threefold longing crushed together called Trishna. Three eshanas. And the more you try to fulfill Trishna, allegorically described like a thirst. And if you try to fulfill your thirst by drinking salty water, these Trishna, the three types of longings, they are like salty water. The more you gain, greater is your craving. You are never fulfilled. No one can say, oh, now this is enough money I have got. Enough popularity. Enough near and dear ones. Now follow the psychology behind craving. Here this context, it relates to statement made by Lord Krishna in the Gita. Dhyayato vishayan punsa sangasteshu upajayate. First stage, you simply look at an object and your subtle desire in your mind puts a finger. It's something very good. But so many things happen in daily life, and it just goes on. But sometimes your mind having come to have a glimpse of something going to be very pleasant. I always give the illustration of a car. You are going for a walk and you see your neighbor with the most modern, progressive type of car that tells you where to go and everything else. And when you see this now, first stage you just saw, it's good, went on. Next day, instead of having your freedom of walk, you walk to the same direction. And begin to talk to the person who owns the car. You go into more details. Now that's called dhyayato vishayan punsa. You are again and again bringing your mind to that object. You have not gone to details of do you really need it? What responsibilities are there if you have it? You don't care for that. You simply, you like it, and your mind goes on repeating it. Then comes a stage, dhyayato vishayan punsa sangasteshu pajayati. You are stuck to it. Physically not, but mentally you are stuck. Even though you are eating your food, but remembering that. Talking to friends, but remembering that. Sleeping, but remembering that. Dreaming about it. That's why you are stuck. Sangateshu. Sangat sanjayate kama. When that happens, now the mind is now creating plans. How can I have it? So many desires now develop, a planning desire. Kamat krodho vijayati. Now, if you are in this desiring state, two things are possible. It can be fulfilled or it can be obstructed. Both stages, the Sanskrit term in Gita is called krodh. Agitation comes. If it is fulfilled, you become so happy that you let your car just roll over. Think of a car coming down that slope. Happiness is putting yourself in a state of as if in a car that is moving towards a slope. You don't realize what danger lies in that if you don't have a control over it. So, if it is fulfilled, then that's what will happen. If it is not fulfilled, then you feel as if you are climbing up. You have to lead your car up in a higher level, and it is a painful situation. Both ways, if fulfilled, you become agitated. You have to understand what happens. Look at the masses. Whenever they have any good news, instead of keeping calm, praying to God, saying how wonderful, thanks, all that you do is you invite so many people buy up so many types of food, and create a lot of activity and end up being sick and miserable. So that is the fruit of fulfillment. Your desire is fulfilled. And if it is not fulfilled, then it goes into another way. You are grieving and making everybody around you full of grief. Kamat krodho vijayat. That's agitation is krodha. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. Sammoha means it spoils your rationality. Sammohat buddhi nasha. Your rationality, what is really good for you? Are you utilizing your time? Are you going after fulfilling the purpose? All that you don't have. Moha has taken over like a mist. So much so, smriti bhransha. You don't have even the remembrance of what really makes you happy, joyous, healthy. Of course, spiritually speaking, what makes you really, if you are doing sadhana, inspired by satsanga, you are going after the purpose of life, attaining liberation. If that is there in your mind, then it's called your good memory. Your mental process is healthy. Smriti vranshat buddhi nasho. Now, if you don't have that positive view of your life and moving towards it, you've forgotten the goal. Buddhi nasha, your intellect is the most guiding factor in your personality. But what you have done to the intellect, put the intellect into an office and lock the door. You are not using your intellect. Vast majority of people don't use their intellect. Collecting intellectual data, that's not using the intellect. Theory is not enough. You can have tons of theory, but what? If you practice, that practice is most important. An ounce of practice is better than tons of theory. So that's how buddhi has been shut up. Buddhi nashat pranashyati, that is leading as if you are just going on and on towards being as if perishing, you go into a perishable level. And Yoga Vasistha points the same thing. By constantly thinking of objects, by entertaining desires for them, and by fondly coveting them, the fire of craving is led to a furious blaze. Cravings for the objects of the world are the source of all sorrows and miseries. And only through their renunciation can one attain spiritual bliss. Therefore, the word nirvana is used. Nirvana term is used by masses for blowing out a flame. Your craving is like a flame, and a flame that goes into bigger dimension. And the soul, led by ignorance, continues to crave. In the state of liberation, that flame has been extinguished. So that's called soul has attained nirvana. No more flame of craving. It's important to understand. Desire and craving, they are not giving to your soul anything that the soul doesn't have already. Speaking in an ordinary way of saying. All the reflected suns and all the rainbows, they are not giving anything to the sun that the sun doesn't have already. So if you are the sun, you are not going after all this. If you realize I am the sun. But that's the goal of every soul. Deep down, to grow up in such a way that the mind goes on operating in a very gentle and soft way, without giving a promise to the soul that you are going to get better. To the masses, a cloud is doing a great thing. It shuts up the sun, and if it pleases, it releases the sun. But that way of thinking is ignorance. The sun is ever the same. Your mind doesn't do anything to your essential nature. It has caused bondage, and it is through your mind you remove the disease of ignorance. You didn't create a new soul. Soul is just already there, revealed. So it's a realization. O Rama, be seated in a chariot of vasana tyag. Vasanas are subtle desires backed up by ignorance. And here we are being pointed out to the high level of attainment, the goal behind you. The goal is not to be dominated by vasanas. If you go into study vasana, then you come into also understanding the vasana is of two types. Ashubha vasana, Shubha vasana. Vasanas, subtle desires that are supporting your egoism, your attachment, hatred, fear of death, and all complex impurities of the mind. The vasana that supports it is called Ashubha vasana, impure vasana. Pure vasana, when egoism begins to dissolve and good qualities begin to develop your heart, your mental, deep subconscious is enjoying honey hive. All this is progressive. And ultimate, good vasanas to become really good open the revelation of the soul. A cloud to become really good, first it begins to remove its opacity, not be so dark. Light must be allowed to pass through it. Now comes a stage, cloud becomes very happy to see itself glimmering and allows itself to be effaced. When the mind has come to that, when a vasana has come to that state, it's called vasana kshaya. The vasanas are not going to support your soul's cycle of birth and death. The vasana will not support the ignorant ignorance dominated stage of the soul. Soul will discover I am Brahman. So, that's what Vasistha says, O Rama, be seated in the chariot of Vasana Tyag and accompanied by Vivek, Buddhi, it's allegorical, as if you are in a wonderful chariot. And who is driving the chariot? Pure intellect, intellect that understands the difference between right and wrong, between real and unreal, and intellect that has the ability to control the horses, the senses. Once you are in that type of chariot, roam happily in this world. The whole world is Rama. Roam, Rama. So, whatever you do, roam, run, whichever way you live, you are constantly with God, or you are with that revelation, I am that. When the petty desires for the objects of the world are renounced, the mind is exalted to the unimaginable heights of spiritual glory. It can't be imagined. Joyous experience based on dispersal of desires. That experience your mind cannot imagine, because mind's imagination is related to your desires and how, when they are fulfilled, happiness comes in the mind. So this mind's mathematics at this stage is kindergarten mathematics. It has no idea. It's just like you are sitting in a house with paintings. And your mind goes after, if the painter knew how to have a right type of ink to bring sunlight into the picture. And you are working hard and giving some ideas to make things well. But you are not aware, open the window and how the sunlight looks like. One is mind's painting of happiness. Another, real opening of happiness. It's a big difference. Figure that out. When the petty desires for the objects of the world are renounced, the mind is exalted to the unimaginable heights of spiritual glory. Even the joys of attaining the wealth of the three worlds, or of discovering a boundless treasure consisting of shining gems, are nothing compared to the bliss that unfolds in the heart of a person due to the cessation of cravings. And with this, I will conclude. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.